another trade that happened, my team, Chicago, we finally made a move, man. I woke up today happy when I saw the news. We traded away Otto Porter, Wendell Carter Jr., and two first round picks for Nikola Vucevic and Alfred Camino from the Orlando Magic. I already know how I feel about this, but Rob, man, please, how we do, man? Let me know. How did we do on this trade?
I did impeccable. Absolutely impeccable. I mean, when you think about Otto Porter, the first thing you think about is, of course, the contract and how he's pretty much been severely overpaid. So just getting off of Otto Porter, not necessarily the money he has left, but just the stigma that right there just brings the overall picture of the Bulls up now and pretty much gives them more credibility. Of course, you let go Wendell Carter Jr., a nice young big man. But you get back a bona fide all-star, a person that should have been an all-star multiple times. But now, I mean, he's finally getting recognition. Of course, just overall a very good big man that you could actually pair. Now, we not necessarily possibly because we know Lauri Markkanen isn't going to be dealt for Lonzo Ball. You could pair him with Lauri Markkanen, you could pair him with Zach Lavine, and you could basically have a very good starting lineup. The thing about the Bulls, I really think they're going to have a little bit of a problem in the fourth quarter. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the earlier segment that a lot of people in the fourth quarter like to go a little bit small. They're going to be putting Lauri Markkanen in the pick and rolls. They're going to be putting Vucevic in the pick and rolls. We don't really know exactly how they're going to be able to guard those players. So, for example, if hypothetically you guys get matched up with like the Hawks or something like that, probably not the Hawks, but let's just say the Hawks. Trae Young is going to be hunting Lauri Markkanen. He's going to be hunting Nikola Vucevic, and you're going to need them to be able to guard someone like that. I think just because of that, it's going to be a little bit iffy. But I think throughout the first three quarters, especially, it's going to be a very difficult scene, especially in the paint for other teams. It's going to be absolutely crazy. When we talk about who won this trade, I don't think it's close. The Bulls by far won this trade. When I first seen the trade, I was absolutely shocked. I thought if all you really needed was a good young player and two first rounders, why didn't anybody else do this? Why didn't anybody else trade from? First things first, I was kind of confused, man, because there wasn't a lot of smoke around Vucevic being traded. Of course, there was some smoke, but there wasn't a lot of smoke. This right here pretty much came out of the blue. We all thought Orlando Magic was actually going to keep Nikola Vucevic. And me personally, I didn't know why, man, because I thought that it would be a very good idea for them to actually rebuild. But just actually acquiring two first rounders for an all-star like Vucevic, it doesn't make any sense to me. Because of that, obviously, the Chicago Bulls made out like absolute bandits in this trade.
You see, and you would know coming as a Miami fan, you would know exactly what it's like to fleece somebody in a trade. But listen,
absolutely,
I love this trade. The more time passes, the more I love this trade. Now, you did mention something about you're curious about our fourth quarter, how we're gonna do. I just want to put this stat out. Zach Lavine is the leading scorer in the fourth quarter for the league this season.
Absolutely,
I just want to put that out there. But my biggest takeaway is we were able to get Vucevic without giving up guys like Thaddeus Young, Lauri Markkanen, and we also were able to bring in another guy like Alfred Camino, who guys don't talk about, but for defensive purposes, I love that move. I think he's going to do a lot of good work with Patrick Williams because those two are really similar players. We got rid of Otto Porter. First of all, that was the worst contract. Even at the time, it was one of the worst contracts to ever be signed. I don't even know how he was able to get that. Shout out to his agent. We got rid of Wendell Carter Jr., who, like you said, he's a nice young player. He's a workhorse, but in his young career, he's been, labeled as injury prone, and we need consistency in Chicago. And two first round picks. Me and you were having this conversation earlier in the week. Nobody builds through the draft anymore. I mean, let's be honest. When's the last time a draft pick, led their team to get a championship besides LeBron James or the Warriors, I think that we, like you said, we made out like bandits. Vucevic is averaging 24 and 11, one of the best shooting centers in the league. I think he's like 40% from three and like close to 50 or 49% from the field. I mean, I don't want to gas because I'm a Chicago fan, but he's really a poor man's Joker if you think about it.
Absolutely. Great passer.
Yeah, so you add him with Zach Lavine, who's averaging 28. Kobe White is getting better every game. Patrick Williams, who I know can be a great 3-and-D, kind of a Luau Deng role for us back in the day. And we kept Lauri Markkanen. Come on. With Thaddeus Young coming off the bench, Alfred Camino coming off the bench, those are two great, workhorses, defenders. I definitely think we're going to make a push for that 8th or 7th seed, especially with Lonzo Ball getting hurt. I expect Charlotte to drop. And I think we're going to make a push, man. I think we are.
Yeah, no question. Absolutely no question. I would be absolutely shocked if I don't see the Chicago Bulls in the playoffs. But I mean, specifically when we talk about Nikola Vucevic, he's averaging 24.5, basically 12 boards and 4 assists. He's definitely going to add a lot to that team. But when I looked at the Bulls, I mean, previously I thought of them as having a lot of big men. You talk about Laurie Markin, of course, he's gonna be able to still get a lot of minutes. But Cristiano Felicio, of course, Wendell Carter, they traded him, but still they have
Thaddeus Young.
Luke Cornett, Thaddeus Young,
Yeah, Luke.
6'8", but of course he still plays power forward / a small ball center. I mean, you didn't really trust a lot of your big men.
No, not at all. Listen, I don't know what the thing was about our forwards, but that's whenever we lose games, it's usually because our forwards and our centers are hurt, not playing, and they can't reach their full potential. I mean, like I said, speaking on Otto Porter, like he gets paid too much. Like I at least want you to be game ready. We paid him too much money to always be hurt or not be able to play in the game. But I think this is a step in the right direction. I think we're going to attract a lot of eyes. Vooch being in a major market along with Zach Lavine, both coming off All-Star seasons. I think this was the perfect time to strike. I think it was a perfect move.
Now, as far as the Bulls right now, what would be an acceptable season for the Bulls? First round exit, second round. What you tell me? What's an acceptable season for your Bulls?
Well, unless we go on like a 20 to 30 game win streak and somehow make it above seventh, like go for that 6th or 5th seed even, I would say a competitive first round exit, at least game 6 or 7 games. Because, well, let me say this: unless it's the Nets in the first round and they're the first seed and the 8th seed, I believe that we can take on the 76ers. I believe that we can put a wall up against Ben Simmons. I believe that Vucevic can not only get his against Embiid, but Embiid, we don't even know if he's going to be available for a full playoff series.
That's true.
So I think I think we can catch them, sleeping really. So I think we can take anybody on other than the Nets in the first round. So for me, unless it's the Nets, we need to at least make the second round of the playoffs. At least it's been a while, man, but at least that.
I 100% agree. I mean, it's been a long time coming for the Chicago Bulls. Me personally, because I'm a Miami Heat fan, I had a vested interest when Dwayne Wade actually went to the Chicago Bulls. Sad thing that Rajon Rondo got injured, and of course, D Wade or Jimmy Butler couldn't necessarily carry the Bulls to the second round. I think y'all got a very good shot this year. Zach Lavine is looking like one of the best Bulls that we've seen ever since Derrick Rose. I mean, not necessarily trying to put any jinx on my man Zach Lavine. Hopefully, he stays healthy. He already got one of them ACL. But I think right now, I mean, just the sheer offensive power and, of course, the good coach that y'all got right now, I mean, it's looking very up and up for the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, it's definitely different from the Tom Thibodeau days where he was running guys into the ground with this defense first. We got Coach Billy Donovan, man. He's a nicer coach. I think he's a more player-friendly coach. And before I wanted Drummond in the free agent the buyout market, but I didn't see Vooch at all. Like, I couldn't even imagine we had the assets for Vooch. Like, I'm happy, man. I'm ecstatic.
I didn't think anybody had the assets with Vooch.
Yeah, I mean, listen. But I guess the Cade Cunningham sweepstake is getting real.